What you're looking at right now is me looking at you, but you're also looking at this car, which is an MG ZT 180. Promises to me to be a car that I simply will not like at all, and I'll tell you exactly why before I find something I do like. The 180 has a 2.5 litre 180 brake horsepower engine, KV6, mated to the automatic gearbox, which will no doubt sap away most of the power. It's like this, but with a lot more weight. Now really, I'm not even a fan of the ZT or 75 particularly, but then that's usually just down to some of the faults that they end up with if they're not too well looked after. This one apparently has had an awful lot of money spent on it, but I'll come to that, should I need to, afterwards. An automatic gearbox, especially one of these old style slush boxes, the old Jatco unit, in what is essentially a sports saloon. It's a bit like using some really good ingredients, knowing what you're doing and making a beautiful, well balanced homemade curry, and then having it with toast. I know someone who does that. But if we can just forget about that for a moment and just have a look at the car, I mean, it is an amazingly handsome beast. They really are. That is the thing. The 75 and ZT are just, how can I say this without just saying the same thing over and over again? They're just incredibly handsome. The facelift versions aren't as well made, but the ZT version does still look rather imposing. It's got an exciting face. It's modern and retro at the same time. What a trick to pull off. Well, they did it, didn't they? X-Power Grey really is a very good colour for this, actually. And I'm not a fan of grey cars, but you know, it works. It works. So what can we say? I like the fact that this one has the smiley number plate as well. Some don't like those. I do. On the 75, of course, this is a stainless steel strip. That's a stainless steel strip, but colour-coded. That's a pity, because the stainless steel strip all the way along like this does make it stand out even more. Many a ZT you will see with the paint stripped off of the sill at the bottom there, and the coach line as well, because that was one of those features that Rover designed that was just seriously good. I mean, just what a fantastic piece of design. Another nice feature are the 11 spoke alloys. These, again, they did some rather interesting alloy wheel designs, and these are a favourite, not just of mine but of most. Now normally MG wheels, they tend to lose the lacquer and go a bit grotty looking, but these ones I think have been refurbished. The rear bumper on the facelift does seem to jut out a little bit, and the spoiler, this little lip spoiler, doesn't ruin the look of the back of it. It's definitely a bit more subtle than that. Because this is a facelift, again we have some other things going on. Unfortunately, look what they've done. They got rid of the carpet and replaced it with this stuff here, which I really don't like at all. Another thing they failed to address was the fact that these door cards never like to stay on properly, and not having very much room in the back. Door shut sounds. Oh, that's big, that's beefy. That would be better if the window was not open. That's more like it. Underneath the bonnet is where we will find, naturally, a V6 engine. And I say naturally because that's where it belongs, isn't it? Yeah, V6, KV6. Yep. Unlike the Rover 75, it doesn't have anything even pretending to be wood. It just has grey plastics. It still looks good. It still looks good, but it's not actual fake. Well, I mean, it is, but something's only fake if it's pretending to be something else, isn't it? So it's not pretending to be carbon fibre. What material looks like that? Well, plastic. That's what looks like that, and that's what it is. So that's fine. It's got the original stereo in it. This probably still works, and an automatic gearbox, which is Traffic Master. The KV6 is a wonderful sounding engine, and maybe you could argue that if it doesn't have enough power, then you can hear it on the song more, because you're spending more time putting the effort in to making it go, so therefore it's better. The gearbox is simple: park, reverse, neutral, drive, and then you can hold it in any one of these gears like that. There's no sports mode, there's nothing, it's just, oh yes there is, we have our sport mode there. So sport, and then the one with the E on it is economy. Push it down, it's basically for snowy conditions. Now, I have mentioned this before, but it still makes me laugh. On the display there we have drive. We push that up and it goes into sports drive, but we can equally have sports neutral, and we can have sports reverse. What were they thinking? But the most hilarious of them all is sports park. Unless you're going to fling it into a spot like Russ Swift would have done, how does sports park work? Well, that's surprising. I'm in a ZT that doesn't clunk. And
Yellow car.
a yellow car, exactly. Well spotted.
Could we play that on the way here?
When these are put together properly and had all the suspension kept, looked after, they're actually very nice. It's just that they do need looking after pretty much every year. I don't know whether this car's at the same kind of thing, but every year a new suspension component, either a drop link or a ball joint or something like that, will need to be replaced. Unlike the Rover 25, of course, which never go wrong. Maybe this car will be one of those that just makes me really want one again, because actually the weight of the steering and the composure is actually spot on. I feel like such a hypocrite. The amount of times I've dogged these because of somebody's lack of care, and now I feel like I owe everybody an apology, except for those people that didn't look after them in the first place. So the automatic box isn't really the first choice in the ZT, but they are smooth. It's a nice seamless change. What more do you want? Maybe this is the car for somebody who wants to look like they're doing lots of sport, but actually get out of breath tying their own shoelaces. We may as well try it out in sport mode, don't we? So then we'll just push that forward there, and then at some point you've got to be a little bit more aggressive with your right foot. So I might just do that just as we come out of the roundabout here. I'm not expecting anything amazing because the weight of this car really will spoil it, but here we go. It just sounds fantastic, that's the thing. It sounds fantastic, it does go quite well, but it's not going to hurt your neck. Unless you've got a sore neck to start with. Then it might do, I don't know. Maybe if you're used to something much slower, you would be quite impressed. But I'm more impressed by the way it actually drives. It's just really quite, well, it's together, it's what it should be. In many ways though, you get exactly the same result from having the diesel version. Majority of the diesels are actually automatics, and they work better as an automatic than a manual because, well, the clutches can go on them, and that's a very expensive job. It ends up being the end of many a ZT or 75 just because of a clutch. So why would you have a V6 version rather than the diesel? Because there's not a great deal of difference in the amount of go it has, and that's honestly the truth. What this has is the sound, and if you like sound, you buy this one. But do you also like emptying your pockets? Because you're going to need to do. Whereas the diesel will easily get you about 40 miles per gallon, you're going to struggle to get 20 out of this. And then when it comes to maintenance, the belts. Remember the belts. just because it isn't a high-powered version, it doesn't mean it doesn't cost the same amount to replace all of the belts, and that is quite a lot. So I'm going to try and think of a reason why you would buy the petrol V6 rather than the diesel. We're currently doing 20 miles per hour, which isn't very fast at all, and that is where we miss out. Now, actually, the best place to drive and enjoy a car like this would be up over those hills there, over the twisty national speed limit roads, where the actual chassis and the steering all come into the road. It is a fantastic driver's car, even if it's not particularly quick. Driving well and being fast are not the same thing. Yeah, I forgot to do one. Looks like an alien, its helmet in the quarantine area.